Hi, good evening. Welcome to Nzinganation again. I'm your host Zinga. Tonight's topic will be on the Kemetic faith. Many don't know about the Kemetic faith. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to define it. I've heard many people misconstrue what it is. And I've heard many comments lately saying that the black race doesn't have a faith of their own or religion of their own. Truth of the matter is, they do. We do. The problem now is the reason why it's not known is because, or as popular as any other religion, is because it's been lost throughout the ages. And a lot of people have made negative comments on a movement that they call, not my words, but the word that I've heard it called, Afrocentrism. I am for that movement, just like I would be for any movement of any race that wants to come together. I'm not prejudiced, and I'm not here to change anybody's mind about anything. I'm simply here to talk about the Kemetic faith. What is Kemetic faith? Um, Actually, the Kemetic faith is and was at the source of all spiritual um, religions or movements that exists on earth today. Why do I say that? Well, just taking facts from history, you can go back thousands of years BC, which is the reason why they have the say BC, because there was something before Christ. There was a civilization before Christianity. There was something before Hinduism. There was something before Buddhism, Taoism, whatever ism you want to use. There was the Kemets. So let's go back in time, 10,500 BC to be exact. There is where the story of Aset, Osar, and Heru takes place. Those are their Kemetic names before they were changed to Isis, Osiris, and Osar. So, going back 10,500 years, there is an African story that goes about talking about these three people, which are the original Trinity, which Christians base their beliefs on, the Holy Trinity, which is supposed to be Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. Very popular story, very well-known story, but unfortunately, it's also a fabricated and plagiarized story. Why do I say that? Like I said, I like to base my words, my comments, my presentations on facts, okay, historical facts and data. 10,500 BC, there was Osar, Aset, and Heru. Osar was a king whose queen was Aset, very beautiful Nubian queen. Osar was a Kemet. Kemet being the Kemetiu, I'm sorry. Kemet being the name of Old Egypt, what we call Egypt today. Aset was a Kushite from Nubia. Kush was the old Nubia. I mean, what is known today as Nubia. I'm sorry. In any case, continuing on, Osar and Aset were very happy. Aset was a very beautiful queen, as I said. Osar had a brother. His brother's name was Seth, from whom the name Satan came from in Christianity later on. Now, the story goes that Osar, being king, made Seth very jealous, not only of his power, but also of the fact that he had a very beautiful wife in Asset. Um, Seth wanted Asset for his wife, and he wanted the kingdom. He wanted the power. So when Osar, who was a very generous, very spiritual, very wise king, decided to go on a what we call today a business trip outside of the realm of his kingdom to propagate or to teach rather spirituality, to teach about living in community, to teach about how to live in a civilized way. He didn't know, unbeknownst to him, his brother followed him everywhere, and until he killed him. Having killed his brother, Seth cut him up into pieces, into 14 pieces to be exact, and spread out his body parts throughout the kingdom, so that he would not have a proper burial, to keep him from reincarnating, to keep him from continuing his kingdom and continuing his mission. Aset, being the queen, the very strong black queen that she was, decided that she needed to put her husband to rest. Her biggest regret was that they never had a child. She was still a virgin. And but she went about to find her husband's body part in order to give him a proper burial, to put his mind and his spirits to rest. So upon finding the body parts, she cleaned him, wrapped him up onto what was known as the first mummy. She mummified him. The only problem was there was one part that she did not find, which was his genitals. While crying for her husband at the funeral, laying up on top of his body, the story goes that that is when the spirit of Asset being that his body was put back together, the spirit of Osar descended upon Asset and impregnated her. Thus the virgin birth, the virgin pregnancy. Asset gave birth to their son Heru. Now, Heru had to avenge his father. He came for his father's kingdom, and he came to propagate his father's kingdom on earth. Sounds familiar? It should. In any case, he automatically, his uncle automatically became his enemy, having killed um, his father. So being enemies, they spent their whole entire lives fighting against each other. So in ancient Kemet um, legend, or should I say story, it goes that Heru won. Heru, who was the son of God, the God's son. I'm sorry, the God's son won the battle during the daytime, which was the sun rising, killing the night, and Seth won the battle at nighttime, which was the moon, killing the day. And that went on for centuries, but that's just legend, but that's how the story goes. And from that story, we have the story that was plagiarized word for word by um, by the Christians, which became the story of Jesus Christ, the virgin birth that was announced by a spirit, the angel, the spirit of Osar, the the Son of God that came to rebuild his father's kingdom on earth, Herod, who had to rebuild his father's kingdom and take it from his uncle, Satan. In any case, going a little bit further, in the Bible it is said that in that same Bible that Christians call Bible, which, by the way, was stolen from the words were stolen from the walls of Egypt, of the pyramids in Egypt, because that was the Bible. We always wrote in stones, in tablets. If you notice, the black race has always been very close to Mother Earth. So everything we do is ingrained in Mother Earth. Okay? So going a little bit further, let's say, I believe it was in the third dynasty when the Greeks first invaded Egypt. And when they saw the writings on the wall, quite literally, they wanted to know what it was about. Having had the prophets um, tell them that what was on the wall, which basically was their spiritual teaching, their spiritual inspiration, was not to be shared with anyone but their people, because it was specific to that particular people. They knew not to share that knowledge with the Greeks. However, the Greeks being insistent and persistent, they started to to kill the Kemeteus in public, to intimidate everyone, to make sure that they share the knowledge. As usual, white man comes and comes with violence. Having done that, after a while, the Kemeteus started to give in and started to share the secrets that was on the wall. However, now, mind you, let's not forget that back then, the white race was killing each other. They was too busy building empires, which is why we have the Roman Empire, which is why we have the Greek empires, and etc., etc., the Gaul, all of those fights. If you know your European history, then you know what I'm talking about. Until then, they had no interest in spirituality whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they were using witchcraft. Going further, after intimidating the Kemeteus gave up some of that knowledge. Giving up that knowledge, they went back home and they created what we now know as Christianity. Having created Christianity, still not being one people, they were still killing each other. The Romans, having visited Greek and seeing the new artifacts that they brought back from Egypt, and the new arts and everything else that they learned from there, wanted to know the secret. They wanted a piece of the cake. So what did they do? They had the Greeks show them the way. They went to Egypt and began to ravage and steal and kill and do whatever they had to do to steal from that population. Having done that, they then started to copy that art themselves for their own, and they call it the Renaissance. Amazing, isn't it?